morning, church, and happy Sabbath. Today's scripture reading is from John 15, verse 9 through 17. As the Father hath loved me, so have I loved you. Continue ye my love. If ye keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments, and abide in his love. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth, but I have called you friends, for all things that I have heard of my Father I have made unknown unto you. Ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you, and ordained you, that ye should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whosoever ye shall ask out of Father in my name, he may give it to you. These things I command you, that ye love one another. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Caitlin, for reading the scriptures for us. And to our sanctuary choir, that was beautiful. God so loved the world. Very powerful message and a very fitting song for today. By the way, February is celebrated as a month of love and friendship. And this weekend especially is a weekend for lovers. How many of you are in love? May I see your hands? Just a few. Well, I don't mean just in a love relationship, a boyfriend, girlfriend, or spouses, but generally, how many are in love? I see your hands. Very good. I think all of us should be in love. Amen? And because this is a special gift that we have from God. And love is something that propels us, that motivates us and inspires us as we move on, face the challenges of life. By the way, for those of us who are in love, how many of you are sure that your love is true? I see your hands. Yes. And how many would like to know whether the love that you receive from your significant other is true? Yes? Okay. Have you come across this material? There was a survey that was done for children that were ages of 4 to 8, and they were given the question, they were filled with the question, what does love mean? And I'd like to share with you a few of them, because I think we can learn from little kids. Amen? Yeah, we sometimes hear very wonderful things from the mouth of kids. And even Jesus Christ said, out of the mouth of sucklings and babes, you have ordained praise. Okay, here's someone by the name of Dallas, age 7, and he says, when a person loves you, they say your name different. You just know your name is safe in their mouth. Okay. Is that so true? Yeah. When somebody who really loves you calls you by your name, somehow the way your name is mentioned, is pronounced, it's just different. And you remember those times when somebody was angry at you and you were called by your formal name. Okay. Love is when your mom makes a cup of coffee for your dad and she takes a sip of it before she gives it to him to make sure it is okay. That's good. Sue, age 6. Love is when you tell a boy you like his shirt, and then he wears it every day. That's Chloe, age 4. Okay, how about Joe, age 7? He says, love is when your puppy licks your face, even when you left him alone all day. Unconditional love. Isn't that what it is? Love is when you go out to dinner with someone and you give them most of your French fries without making them give you any of theirs. And sometimes that's what we do. We adults, we give something expecting in return, hoping that the return will be bigger than what we gave out. Or, I invite you, you invite me, that kind of thing. But love, no strings attached. We give, expecting nothing in return. But here's somebody, you recognize his name, Leo Buscaglia, an author and lecturer, and he once judged a contest where they wanted to find the most caring child. And he told this story. There was a 4-year-old who lived next door to an elderly man who had recently lost his wife. And one day he saw his neighbor crying. What did he do? He went over, climbed into the neighbor's lap, and just sat there. When he came home, his mother asked him what he had said to the man. And he said, nothing. I just helped him cry. You know, these are some of the times when actions speak louder than words. And sometimes our silence is so eloquent. But love is expressed. It is communicated in such a very, very eloquent way. Now, love, this thing, it is so important. When Jesus Christ was on earth, and just before his death, he called his disciples together in that upper room, and they had a special meeting. And he spoke out his heart. He opened himself up to them. And we know, of course, that on a person's deathbed, during his dying moments, what is in his heart are more than likely the most important things in his mind. And what did he talk about when he talked to his disciples? We can find this in John chapter 13 to 17, 5 chapters in John. And you read through the chapters, and time again, he talks about what? He talks about love. He talks about loving each other. He talks about how God loved them and how they should love him in return and how they should love one another as a result of that love. Now, why did he talk about love during his deathbed, so to speak? I'm sure it was because that was one of the things that was weighing heaviest in his mind. It is also likely that it was something that he knew was lacking so much in the lives of his disciples. That's why he needed to emphasize, to tell them about it. And then the importance of this thing that is called love. In John chapter 13, verse 35, he says, by this shall all men know. When he said, by this shall all men know that you are my disciples, when you have what? When you have love for one another. See, he did not say, people around you, the rest of the world will know that you are my disciples if you are faithful in your time. Or if you go to church faithfully on Sabbath. Or when you do this, when you do that. But he says, they will know that you are my disciples when you have loved one to another. So, how is it with us? Is the world around us recognizing that we are Christ's disciples? How is our love for one another? Have you seen this before? Somebody said, to be with the saints above, that will be glory. But to live with them on earth, that's another story. Many times we don't have any problem with, oh yeah, we profess love for one another. Oh yeah, we're okay. We're not fighting. We don't hate anybody. But to really actively, passionately love the brethren, that's something else. To be with the saints, above that would be glory, but to live with them on earth, that's another story. Now, maybe we can look at this. What is love? Somebody made an acronym of the word love. L is for listening when another is speaking. That's good for me. It means you could give me your attention. But it's not just during the sermon time in church. In our day-to-day experience, in our relationship with one another, when somebody's talking, it's listening when somebody is speaking. It is overlooking the petty faults and forgiving all failures. Somebody has done something, he has failed, he has come up short, and so because of love, we overlook those petty faults and forgive the failures. It is also valuing other people for who they are, for who they are. It's not for what they have achieved or what they are in life, but for who they are and who are people. They are created in the image of God. And they have been redeemed by the blood of Jesus Christ on the cross of Calvary. And we are told that this is where we find the value of man, at the cross of Calvary, because Jesus Christ, the Son of God, came down from heaven in order to die, spill his blood for the sake of fallen humanity. And so we value people not for what they have achieved, not for what possessions they have, not for what rank they have attained, but is for who they are in Jesus Christ. And love is expressing it in a practical way. E, it is expressing love in a practical way. And so we're going to deal more about this as we move on. There's another passage of scriptures also that I want us to consider at this point when we talk about love. The Apostle Peter said, above all things have, what's the word? Fervent charity. Charity is another word for love. It's an old English word. Charity, fervent charity among yourselves, for charity shall cover the multitude of sins. We have seen that previous screen, which is when we have love, it is overlooking the failures and mistakes of others, right? So, what kind of love are we supposed to have? It is what? Fervent. It is fervent. What is fervent? Sometimes, oh, we're okay. We don't fight. But we just tolerate each other. That's not love. Fervent gives the sense of determination. It speaks of intensity. And I want to think about what athletes do, in the race. You have watched these races, marathons or sprint races, where the athletes run with all their strength, with all their might and every ounce of energy. They run and they stretch every muscle they have until they reach the finish line. That's fervency. And that's the kind of love that we must have for one another. It is passionate. It is fervent. It is intense. That's what the Apostle Peter is saying. So it's not anything that is indifferent but Jesus Christ said, there is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. I believe this is the final test of true, genuine, and unconditional love. When you come to think about it, and this is serious, if your love is true, would you be willing to die for your loved one? There's a girl who was asking the boy, "Do you love me?" And the boy said, "Yes, I love you. Would you be willing to die for me?" The boy said, "No." And why is that? Well, he says, "My love is an undying love." He was not willing to die because his love was undying love. you know. But that is the test. I believe the greatest love would be a love that would be willing to lay down his life for a loved one. So, anyway, 3 steps to genuine love. Very simple, very practical. But I think that's how it should be. And I want us to leave this place not confused about the message, but knowing fully well the 3 simple conditions on how we can achieve genuine, true, and unconditional love. And the first step, and it's the most important step, is to receive the love of God. Without this step, there can be no true, genuine, or unconditional love whatsoever. No other kind of love in this world would matter if we don't have or if we don't take this first step, which is to receive the love of God. Because love, which is true, is a gift from God. It is not an emotion, it's not just a feeling, it is a principle, it's a gift that we receive from Jesus. Ellen White says that. Okay? And we've heard, I think all of us are aware about this. Number 1 kind of love is the agape love. And what is the agape love? This is the divine kind of love, as opposed to the other 2, which is eros and philos. Love number 2 and number 3, these are human loves. Eros, originally from the Greek, and we have the English word erotic. This is the kind of love that we have for the opposite sex. A boyfriend and girlfriend, between them we have this erotic love. It's a love between the husband and the wife. Okay? And philos is also from the Greek word, and that's why we have the English derivative, which is filial, or family love. It's the love that we have for members of the family, for relatives. Okay? But what is the kind of love that we have that would love everybody, which would include the good, the bad, and the ugly? It's the agape love. Without the agape love, which is a gift that we can receive from God, we have no love for the ugly, for the unlovable. We will choose who to love. Oh, just the lovely, the adorable, the delightful, and all those stuff. But nothing would attract us. The unlovable and the ugly, nothing. Only the love of God can give this kind of love. So, what we need to do, number 1, condition or step to true and genuine love, is to receive this love that alone comes from God. The agape love. And this is the kind of love that he talks about in John chapter 15, verse 9, where he says, "I have loved you even as the Father has loved me. Live within my love." He says, "I have loved you. I have shown my heart to you." This is true love. And then he says, he invites us, live within my love. He says, accept this love, receive this love. And this is the first step that you will ever have in order to attain genuine, true, and unconditional love. He also says, and this is a secret to having this love. In John chapter 15, verse 5, "I am the vine," he says, "you are the what? The branches. Those who remain in me and I in them will produce much fruit, for apart from me, you can do nothing." Apart from Jesus, we would not be able to love anybody or anything, because true love only comes from Him. We are the branch, He is the vine. We need to get connected to the vine. We need to be part of Him, so that the life-giving force, the vital life that can flow through us will flow. The sap and life-giving sustenance will flow through us when we abide in Him, when we get connected with Him. And then in John 15:13, again, there is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. And if we had to prove His love for us, it being love, genuine, unconditional, and sacrificial, I asked Him, how much do you love me? And He opened His hand, His arms, and said, this much. And He died. You know, His love on the cross, He was willing to die for us on the cross of Calvary to prove to us how much He loves us. And then He says, receive this love. Accept this love. It is the one step to true and genuine love. Step number 2. And what is that? Very simple, reciprocate His love. It is not enough to receive this love. We need to return it to Him. We need to love Him back in return. Ellen White also mentions love begets what? Love. Love begets love. As He loves us, then we love Him back. And that's the secret to achieving true and genuine love. We need to reciprocate this love. He says, we love Him because He first loved us. It should not be hard, because He has already sent us currents of His love, and we simply need to return that love to Him. We love Him because He first loved us. And one thing else, one more thing that He said, is that He elevated our status. He promoted us from the status of servants to what? Friends. So that now we are friends and we can love Him just like He loved us. You are my friends, He says, if you do what I command you. I no longer call you servants, because a servant does not know what his master is doing, but I call you friends because I've made known to you everything I heard from my Father. Okay? So we need to love Him. First of all, He made it easy for us. He already initially loved us. We just need to love Him back in return. And He made us from servants. He elevated us to be friends. And we can love Him as friends. And then, how are we supposed to love Him? Again, fervently. In Mark chapter 12, verse 30, love the Lord your God with all your what? With all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. In other words, we need to love Him with all the passion, with all the energy, with all the power that is within us. And He calls us to present ourselves as what? A living sacrifice. In Romans chapter 12, verse 1, the Apostle Paul says, I beseech you, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a what? A living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. Many times we wait. We wait until the last minute because we want to enjoy the world. We want to avail ourselves of the pleasures, of the thrills of life. And in our deathbed, we want to give what is remaining to Him. And how it pains His heart when we do this. Paul says, I beseech you, I plead with you, he says, present your bodies a living sacrifice. At a time when you are strong, in good health, when you have everything going for you, use that in order to love Him and to advance His cause. Serve Him in the prime of your life, in the flowering of your age. And I love what I found about Augustine. You know, Augustine, I've seen some of his writings, his comments, and he says, Lord, hast thou declared that no man shall see thy face and live? And what does he say? Then let me die, that I may see thee. And look at how profound this statement is. Here is a man who was willing to die, if that is what it takes to be able to see the face of God. Here is someone who is willing to forego life, the temporal life here on this earth, just so he could be in the presence of God and be with Him face to face. As I was going over this, I thought, do I have this in me? Am I willing to lose my life here on this earth just so I could see God's face? Let me die, that I may see thee. Finally, what is number 3? To make this complete, so that the love that we have could be genuine, true, unconditional. We do not only receive the love of God because it is from Him that we can receive only the one true love. We don't only reciprocate His love, but a final step is, again, a very simple one: give this love to others. Give this love to others. And I like this statement. It is attributed to Oscar Hammerstein, some musician, and he gave a note to a certain singer before she was going to perform. And the note said, "A bell's not a bell till you ring it. A song's not a song till you sing it. Love in your heart is not there to stay. Love isn't love till you give it away." Isn't that also true? If you keep that love in your heart, is that love? No, it isn't. Just like a bell is not a bell until you ring it, and a song is not a song until you sing it. Love in your heart is not there to stay. Love isn't love till you give it away. It's another way of saying what Jesus actually said. And what did Jesus Christ say? Well, Jesus Christ said, "These things I command you, that you love one another." What he was saying is, I give you my love. I've shown you everything. I've died for you. Receive my love. And then reciprocate my love. Love me in return, but don't end there. Don't go out into the desert place or out in the caves and up in the mountains and stay by yourself there. Give that love to others, because love isn't love until you have given it away. He says, love one another. Love one another. Give that love to others. 1 John chapter 4, verse 20. In fact, the apostle says, if a man say, I love God, and hated his brother, he is a what? What's the word? Liar. For he that loveth not his brother whom he hath seen, how can he love God whom he hath not seen? Yeah. It's not going to be truth if we say we love God and we don't have love for others or for the brethren, for our fellow men. And love that we are talking about is not just tolerating them or yeah, it's okay. I can stand them, or it's okay with me. But we need to passionately love them we need to aggressively show that love to them. Because if we truly, really love God, then we need to show our love to others. Also, he says, this commandment have we from him, that he who loveth God, loveth his what? His brother also. That includes sister, yes. And then, of course, John 15:12, this is my commandment, that you love one another as what? I have loved you. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. And so the way that we love one another, it is not just in the emotional, fussy way, but it is loving others just like the way Jesus Christ loved us. And how did Jesus Christ love us? Well, of course, we know how he died on the cross to show his love for us. But we also know that on that same night, the final night on earth before he went up the hill to Calvary, he was there in that upper room. And all his disciples were there with him. The committee that was supposed to prepare the meeting place, they failed. They forgot to provide servants to wash the feet of every participant there. And nobody would want to do that menial job. Somebody had to wash the feet of everybody in that room. Because as it was, I know it may have been springtime and the April rains must have brought those dusty roads of Palestine and made potholes and mud in there. And as the disciples walked those roads, the clay, the mud got into their open-toed sandals, and they got up into the room with all those mud and dirt on their feet. Somebody had to wash their feet. Nobody was going to do it. Everybody was a candidate for the cabinet of the kingdom that was going to be established. And anyone who would do that job would eliminate himself from running for that particular office that they were interested in. Now, Jesus Christ, the teacher that he was, the master teacher, he used that as an opportunity to teach an eternal truth. And so, according to the scriptures, he took off his outer garment and then put the towel around his waist, took a basin with water, and went around washing the feet of his disciples. And it was paradoxical because here was the master washing the feet of the servants instead of the servants washing the feet of the master or others. Jesus Christ said, the command I give to you is that you love one another even as I have loved you. When Jesus Christ washed the disciples' feet, he was not only demonstrating how we should serve with humility and how we should serve one another regardless of what rank we have in society or in life, but he showed his love for everyone. And so he now tells us, I want you to love one another as I have loved you. Can we show that? Can we do that to one another and make this Central Filipino Church a community of love for people to see and for people out there in the world around us to recognize that indeed we are his disciples because we have loved one for another. The world needs to see more of his love demonstrated among us. There was a preacher who was holding a meeting, and it was somewhere out there, and there was a Hindu businessman who gave a testimony, and he told the evangelist the reason why he attended the meetings. And this businessman told the preacher, "The reason I'm here tonight," he said, "is because years ago there was a Christian preacher that came to the marketplace. And he was sharing the word and preaching about Christianity, and we hated it. We heckled him. We screamed and yelled at him. We threw tomatoes at him. All he did was to wipe the tomato juice. And he said after the meetings, he invited us kids, took us to the candy store, and bought us some candies. And he said, I saw the love of Jesus Christ demonstrated by this Christian missionary preacher. And that's why I'm here at this meeting tonight. The world will recognize that we are indeed disciples of Jesus Christ when we have loved one to another. And so, how do we achieve genuine love? First, and most important of all, it is to receive God's love. He offers it to us. Choir sang, God so loved the world. We know that. But we have to receive it. We have to open our hearts and our lives to it. And after that, we need to love Him in return. Reciprocate that love. And finally, we need to give that love to others. Because love isn't love until it is given away. Before I close, I would like to share another story. There is this story of two Hebrew brothers who lived side by side in adjoining farms. And one of the brothers was the head of a large family, and the other was single. And one night, the former was lying awake thinking about his brother. And he was saying in his thoughts, my brother, he doesn't have a wife or children to cheer him up. And he said, I think I'd like to go and bring some of my sheep and take them to his field, which could at least make him happy. And at the same time, same hour, the other brother was also thinking. And in his thoughts, he was saying, my brother, he has a large family, wife and children. And he said, I think I want to give him some of my sheep and take them over to his side of the field. And so it was that on that same night, these two brothers carried their purposes and brought their sheep to where they were wanting to take them. And they met over at the border of their properties, where they realized what they were going to be doing and where they shared a tight embrace. And the story goes that on that same place where these two brothers met stood the Jerusalem temple years later. And on that particular place where these brothers embraced stood the altar, which just tells me and gives us the idea that heaven values the love and the care that we have for one another, and memorializes the things that we do in love and caring actions for one another. So the Lord bless us. And even as we meditate and think about these simple steps that we need to take, that the Lord will give us the strength through the Holy Spirit. Go ahead and receive that love that He offers. Love Him in return. give His love to others, that the world may know that we are indeed Christ's disciples because we have loved one for another.
This video was recorded from Central Filipino Seventh-day Adventist Church to help prepare a people for the soon return of Jesus Christ. If you would like to visit us and for more information, go to www.centralfilipino.org.